does the free VAT service require you to pay the following year, or can you cancel after the first year with no commitments?
Thank you, Danielle. I can take that question. Apologies, you can't see me. I'm having some webcam issues, but so that's a really good question. You are able to cancel after the first year without any commitments. If you kind of did decide to deregister your VAT numbers, you're required to pay a fee. It normally costs around €100 per country to deregister. If you wanted to keep your VAT numbers but stop using VAT services on Amazon, then you just have to find someone else to kind of do your filings for you. But there's no commitment once the 1 year promotion is finished, so you can always kind of drop off the service if you wanted to.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So I guess related to that, if we're not VAT registered or have EORI, is it possible to get this all set up before the promotion deadlines?
So in order to kind of benefit from the promotions, you don't have to get set up before the deadline. So to benefit from the promotion for the VAT registration, the deadline is 30th of April, like was covered in the presentation. If you kind of start the registration process, or if you're already on VAT services on Amazon, kind of add a new country before the 30th of April, you're still part of the 1 year promotion. So get the 1 year promotion for those countries. In terms of for the EORI number application through Amazon VAT services, the deadline is 31st of March. So you just have to make sure you're in the process before 31st of March in terms of EORI application. Just an FYI, you can't use VAT services on Amazon just for your EORI number application. You also have to register and file an VAT in at least one country using the service as well.
Great, yeah, really useful. Yeah, that date is important, so make sure you take that from the presentation. Okay, delving a bit deeper then, so is Amazon committed to continuing to include fiscal representation as part of the package in the future?
Yes, so we still will include fiscal representation as part of that services on Amazon for all countries where it is required. There will be kind of an additional fee for this. It's around €250 per year for each country that requires it. But again, that fee is waived in the first year promotion, so you won't have to pay that. But just good to know kind of after the promotion finishes, but we are still committed to providing fiscal rep.
Great. So one more question and then we'll move on to some for Richard. What kind of service level can I expect when joining VAT services on Amazon?
Yeah, so we are committed to providing kind of the best support for our selling partners using VAT services on Amazon. So as mentioned in the presentation, we have a dedicated VAT services support team. You can contact them kind of directly through the VAT services dashboard, and they're able to kind of help with any issues you're having with registrations or the filing process. And if needed, they will kind of liaise directly with tax agent Avalaras to resolve any issues. So, we do have these processes and teams in place to help deal with any issues you're having along the journey.
Right, yeah, thank you, really useful. Yeah, so on to Avalaras then, Richard. I have some questions for you. So firstly, what is Avalaras' role in VAT services on Amazon?
From a practical and often legal point of view, many of the EU countries require to have a local VAT agent, and that's Avalaras' primary role. So ticking off the box on the legal requirements. And also, as I say, there's often practical restrictions. So, for example, you must have a local address associated with your VAT registration, even if you're a UK business. And as we've already mentioned, in other countries, you may need a fiscal representative in country, and Avalaras will act as that. So we tick off the legal side and the practicalities that the tax authorities impose on you. And then obviously the whole process of once the VAT is calculated and you've reviewed it in your seller's account and then press file, we take care of that. And in many countries, that's purely electronic. It's smooth and it's instant. You'd be amazed at how many tax authorities still live in, I was going to say in the noughties, but many of them are still in the good old 20th century. And somebody has to physically get involved. So we do that. We call that the last mile requirement. requirement. So that's local support. I suppose, the real value added stuff that you need is when you get into difficulties with the tax authorities, you don't want to have to learn to speak Spanish VAT or French VAT. It's not the stuff that you covered in your GCSE. Trust me. We're there to take care of it. We did. Not in my GCSE. I did it in my O level, but I'm giving away my age, and maybe we should move on to other questions before I embarrass myself further.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Well, very good points, and I guess it's related to this question. You might have already answered some of it, but what does fiscal representation mean, and in which countries is it required?
Yes, so a fiscal rep is a type of VAT agent. So in most territories, because of practical and legal requirements, you'll need a VAT agent. But what some countries, maliciously, they ratchet it up a gear, and they have this special type of agent called a fiscal rep. Now, what's different about it is, compared to a normal VAT agent, is so where Avalaras is your local VAT agent, if we also have to be your fiscal rep, you have to appoint one. We take on your VAT liabilities. So if you were to disappear, if you get your VAT wrong, and the tax authorities want a neck to rip. Goodness, I mean that the ink's never dry on that piece of paper or that blog. There's a great blog that we do. If you Google it now, it's called "Do I Need a Fiscal Rep After Brexit?" And we're constantly updating that, and we work a lot with Amazon on making sure that we're all coordinated in there, so we're getting you applied for in the right countries. But in headline terms, it's very good news. The picture gets better literally by the hour. I think I mentioned that we've got some good news, we think, coming through from Belgium. But prior to the worst case, it was going to be for UK companies, it was going to be 12 countries of the 27 member states, but that shrunk down a bit. So it's only a few countries, the diehards like Portugal seem to want to impose it. Lots of the big countries like France have, they said before Brexit they wouldn't impose it. Countries like Italy have hovered, but now they've come out and said no fiscal rep. Some other countries like Poland, Denmark, Sweden, they're in the process of changing their mind. But do not worry. There's whole teams of people at Amazon and Avalaras who are sweating over fiscal rep, so you don't have to.
Yeah, good news for our selling partners, I guess, then, good to hear. So the next question is, can I register for VAT numbers in other countries if I am not VAT registered in my home country? That's come up quite a bit.
Yeah, it is. The answer is yes. The practical answer is it's very difficult. So the first thing, if you're from the UK and you try to get back registered in Germany or France, almost the second box after you put your company name in is what's your VAT number in the UK. Now, strictly speaking, you just have to prove you're a business. You're an operating. You're not a consumer just selling the occasional doing the occasional transaction. So you shouldn't have to produce a UK VAT number for it. What we find is the tax authorities they'll ask for other documentation. So extracts from UK's Companies House seems to do it, and we do that in support with Amazon, so we can help you through it. It's just it will slow the process down, and you're going to have to be prepared to get a bit of extra paperwork to support it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. The next question is it worth starting VAT registration now when EU legislation changed in July? What are the requirements after introduction of the one-stop shop VAT number?
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Well, yeah. Well, not as long as the answer, let me tell you. So just to recap, the laws are changing on the 1st of July in the EU. They're making it simpler for some transactions, but not all transactions. And I think the most important headline here that I can give you is if you're using Pan FBA, these simplifications unfortunately don't reach you. And the reason for that is you're not a distance seller. This is all about distance selling, and distance selling is selling from one country, goods located in one country to a consumer in another country. Now, because, I think this was if you've done a stock movement already, then you're not a distance seller. You're selling locally, in which case you still need a French VAT registration and you still need a German VAT registration. So unfortunately, the Commission just missed that off, and they've already said they're going to come after or try and extend the use of OS, one-stop shop return, to these sorts of transactions. Realistically, it's probably about 2 or 3 years. So the short answer to your question is you must still get VAT registered when you're holding stocks in foreign EU countries.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So it's definitely over my head in terms of all the technicalities, but a great answer to the question anyway. Okay, so our last question for you, Richard. We'll combine the two. So, do we pay VAT on exports to UK marketplaces from the UK, and do we pay VAT on imports from receiving goods in the EU? Can you talk us through that a bit more?
Yes, I'll try and piece that together because I'm not sure if I've quite understood the first part of the question. But anyway, so import VAT, as you know, the clue's in the name. It's only due when you move goods, you bring goods into a VAT country. So if you're moving goods out to the UK, it's an export, so there's no VAT. It's VAT exempt. But when you then ship the goods into France or Germany, you have to pay import VAT. The rate you pay is dependent on the VAT rate of the country. So if you bring it into France, it's 20% French VAT, or Germany, it's 19% German VAT. And the VAT has to be paid there. I think I mentioned this. There are ways avoiding the cash payment of that VAT through postponed VAT accounting. So the great advantage when you're using the Amazon VAT services and working with Avalaras is we manage that for you. So as I was saying in the last question, you've got to have a VAT registration in Germany or France because you're holding stock there. But when you bring the goods in, so you suffer, as we term it, rather affectionately, I think, you suffer import VAT in Germany. We just put that into your next VAT return, and you're able to offset it against your German sales. So actually, it's not bad news. It's just a bit of double entry, which obviously the service takes care of. In terms of when you're receiving goods from the EU, if I understand that. So obviously, if you're bringing goods from the EU into the UK, then there's UK import VAT to pay on it, 20%. And I'm sure as many of you will be aware, the UK's launched its own postponed VAT accounting from the 1st of January. So you can do that through your UK VAT return. You don't have to register for it. I get asked this all the time. It's automatic. What you have to do is in your customs declaration at the UK border, you have to indicate your UK VAT number in there, and you'll liaise with your freight forwarder or your customs agent, whoever's helping you with that paperwork. And then each month from HMRC, your regular gateway login, you can download about a week later at the end of the month, you can download a list of all the very much Avalaras' duty and responsibility to look after it for you.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, really insightful stuff there and really useful for our sellers. So thank you for that. I think now we're just going to take the last 10 minutes to kind of delve deeper into some of the questions that you've asked us in the question box. So Oscar and Zaid, if you could answer these ones. The first one, we do get asked this quite regularly, is small and light compatible with Pan European FBA?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. Yeah, it's a really good question. So with Small and Light, it's a domestic only program, and there's other programs, heavy and bulky as well that are incompatible with Pan European FBA because the way that those programs work. You get good savings, especially in small and light, because of the nature of it being domestic only. We can't extend those savings across borders. So for small and light, unfortunately, it's not compatible with Pan EU. So in that instance, you would either need to create a new SKU that you are listing across Europe that isn't on small and light, or you would need to send directly into each country to do small and light in each country.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Next question. Is it mandatory to have a product label in all languages? Do you have a person or agency who does the designing or language translation for labeling?
Yeah, so certain categories, this will be a requirement. Typically, it's kind of consumables, and it's just to be compliant with sort of EU legislation. Selling partners will often go with kind of like a peel-off label option. The key thing, I guess, one of the unique benefits as such from Brexit is that you can now, your UK inventory and your EU inventory will be completely separate. And so you can, create a product line as such specifically for Europe with the kind of required sort of languages on. To be sort of assisted with understanding what compliance measures you need to put in place, we do have businesses you can reach out to. On your Seller Central, you can go to what we call the Service Provider Network. So to find this, you would go to Inventory, and then down to Sell Globally. Once you go on this page, there'll be kind of a tab towards the top, and it'll say Find a Provider. If you click on there, you'll be able to see a sort of a portal where you can filter for lots of different services, ranging from translations, compliance to kind of like shipping, and there'll be companies there that you can reach out to.
Cool. Thanks, Oscar. I've had another question. I think quite a handful of sellers have asked this. So, is it possible for me to use the Amazon VAT service for a specific country rather than the whole of Europe? Can I pick 2 countries and use it for that, or does it need to be used across the board?
Yeah, I could take that question. So, it's a common question that's coming up. I think, especially Netherlands and Sweden, is it possible to use that for register for VAT in those countries for using the service? Fortunately, not right now. So the only countries that are available for a UK-based seller. So if you're kind of reporting countries in the UK, you can only use the service to register in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Poland, Czech Republic. So basically the countries where we actively store your products in our fulfillment centers. There is no right now, there's no kind of, it's not in the roadmap to add any other additional countries. That's not to say that we will not do it eventually, but for now, Netherlands, Sweden, Ireland, those countries will not be available.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think maybe one more question, delving more into Pan EU really. If a selling partner is VAT registered in France, Spain and Italy, in order to benefit from Pan EU, do they need listings active in all 4, including Germany, or can they have listings active in certain countries and just sell in those? Can you go into that a bit deeper and how that works?
Yeah. So the key requirement for a product to enroll on Pan European FBA is that let's say for a given ASIN, there needs to be one SKU that is being listed in all 4 of the main stores, so Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, actively. So there can sometimes be some confusion here where, you have the same ASIN being listed everywhere, but you're listing it under a different SKU in each country. That product won't enroll onto Pan EU. So one SKU across Europe will allow the product to enroll. It's important to note here, if you've met that requirement, you don't have to, click for the product to enroll. It will automatically do so. And you can monitor which products have enrolled and where you're missing offers by going to the Pan EU inventory page. So you go to inventory and then Pan European FBA. Here you'll see a page that gives a good breakdown of what are your eligible products, which products are enrolled, and then also say which ones are kind of enrollment ending soon. And on those ones, it's typically that either you closed a listing in one of the 4 stores, or your listing doesn't have any stock against it for an extended period. It will kind of unenroll from the program, but if you meet the requirements again, it will automatically re-enroll.
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, I think we're going to close the Q&A there, unless anyone's got anything they'd really like to bring up before we close. No? Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much to Oscar, Richard and Stacey for being on the... Oh, hang on, we've got one more question popping in, hot off the press. We'll answer this one, we've got 5 minutes, why not? Can I have my stock sent from China straight to Amazon in other countries?
Yes, it's a really good question. So there is a program called Amazon Global Logistics, which you may be able to access. If you can't see it, then I would create a case with seller support to get a reach out from the team there. But you can send directly from China with your own shipping provider into our fulfillment centers across Europe. I think, just so that you understand how you would actually create a shipment into Europe, it's the same process as creating a shipment to your UK fulfillment centers. But when you're in the shipment workflow, on the first page, next to where it kind of says, how are you packing your products, there'll be a drop down that says marketplace destination. So once you're on this page, rather than UK, which will typically be pre-filled, click the drop down, select, let's say, Germany, and then you go through the shipment workflow as normal. And at the end, you'll be provided with the shipping labels to a fulfillment center in the country that you've chosen.
Great, thanks, Oscar. Glad we managed to squeeze that one in, because a lot of sellers are asking that, so thank you. So as we go back again, thank you so much, Richard, Oscar and Stacey, for being here today. Thank you so much to everyone in attendance. It's been great to discuss this with you and answer as many questions as we could. Apologies if we didn't answer your question. Please remember you can go to Seller Support within Seller Central if you need any support in your case-specific or account-specific queries. We did have a few questions about how can I get the content and how can I get this information. Please remember, in the handouts panel on the side of the webinar, you can download today's slides, and I've also shared a link in the chat where you can access our on-demand content to view at your leisure. So please do make use of that, and hopefully we'll see you all at the next one. You will receive an email after the session with our upcoming webinars, so please do tune in to the future sessions, and don't forget to leave us some honest feedback. So thanks all, thanks for coming, and have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks all.